Not all mansions have good vibes, and I gotta be honest, this is one of those mansions. But if you were ever curious what nearly $12 million could get you in Pasadena, then you're gonna wanna check out this new listing. Welcome to the Lunkenheimer house. Despite the listing claiming the house was built in 1910, construction actually began in 1906 when Ohio millionaire Carl Frederick Lunkenheimer purchased 2 acres of land and a house from A.K. Macomber, and then enlisted famed architect Joseph Blick to design a 10-bedroom home. And despite a few alterations over the years, this has pretty much been it for over a century. It also makes it one of the 3 oldest homes in the Oak Knoll neighborhood, and this house has seen some stuff over the years. Now, Carl made his millions in brass, his company in Cincinnati supplying almost all the brass to US ships exclusively. His health, as well as that of his first bride, Alice, wasn't great, which, like hundreds of other Midwesterners and East Coasters, brought them out to Pasadena, where they fell in love with it. Unfortunately, his wife would die from consumption in 1905, but fear not, he'd go on to marry her sister within a few months. The warm air sadly couldn't save poor Carl either, and at age 39, he died of what was ultimately deemed a heart event in the home in 1908. It is also where his funeral would be held. Fear not, this is not the last death to occur in the home, nor the funeral. His second wife, Clara, would remarry to an Edwin Bartlett Schindler. Why his middle name is Clara's maiden name is not a rabbit hole I chose to go into, but I'm assuming it means they were probably related in some capacity. They'd eventually move out of the home and a new family would take ownership in 1920. Robert Fullerton was an Irish-born lumberman who definitely made a pretty penny. He'd purchased the home in his 80s, and it really feels like a string of bad events would happen during their residency. In 1924, during one of their famous lady luncheons, the event took a turn and what would become one of my favorite headlines I've ever found in my over 10 years of research: garbage is served at luncheon. It seems their Russian maid Olga had a fit of insanity, and instead of serving food, brought in a 10-gallon bucket and started dumping garbage and, I quote, swill on the ladies, who promptly lost their minds. Cops came and arrested her on charges of insanity. They would then have a string of robberies. Their son Robert Jr. would almost die in a horrific horse accident, then later in a bad accident when he was hit by a car, and then in 1932, his wife Fanny would die of a sudden illness in the home that lasted less than a day. Robert Sr., however, would almost make it to 100 years old when he died in the home just 3 months shy of his birthday in 1945. The house has had many owners since. Rumors are a famous televangelist even owned it, but the current owner, a philanthropist, has spent years restoring the house to perfection, and it indeed does look perfect. But I have to be honest, there is something that just feels heavy in this home, and it's not the space or even the multiple deaths and funerals that have taken place here. It's more as if something or someone is watching, judging, and perhaps not so happy you're in its space. So if you've got 12 million to spare and a little sage, welcome home.